Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dominate the Diamond Show. Here we are at Zone Sports Academy. I'm Duke Baxter with Steve Nicorak, and we have an awesome lineup of topics for you today. Our purpose of this show is to help educate coaches, motivate players, and give everyone the tools to dominate the diamond on and off the field. Today's topics were fueled by questions and comments and conversations that we've had with coaches throughout the week, and we're bringing the answers straight to you. So let's dive in and let's go.
Yeah, guys, just like Duke mentioned, we have three awesome topics that were driven by you parents, you coaches out there. Some controversial, some I think that are going to really stir up a lot of conversation amongst all of you guys out there. The first one is going to be the dreaded car ride home. All right, number two is going to be when should players start focusing on playing one position? And then number three is you coaches, when you get to a field and there are no batting cages, when you're talking about your pregame batting practice routine, what are some things that you can do while at the field in limited space without a batting cage? So I think we got three awesome topics. Duke's going to kick us off here with the dreaded car ride home.
So what is the dreaded car ride home? That's the ride after an athletic performance where you have the parent and you have the player, and it's just the two of them. The National Alliance of Youth Sports conducted a survey, and they said that 70% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13. First, you must be like, wow. Yes, 70%. And the number one reason why they quit is because they're not having fun. And when you dig deeper by asking them why are they not having fun, they say it's because of their parents and the car ride home. So let's discuss three reasons why you should not talk about performance on the car ride home. Number one, emotions are high, right? The kid just had a game. Maybe he didn't do well. Maybe he struck out. Maybe walked ball 4. And they're already having that high emotion of like, oh. They then get into the car and the parent just rips into them. I can't believe you did this, or why did you strike out? So the emotions are high, and it's not a good time to talk to your son or daughter about their performance. Number two is value. A lot of players think that the value you put on them is based on the performance, and that's really stressful for any player at any age level. So a kid strikes out, what happens? You see him look into the stands, and the coach their parent puts their head back. Maybe they slam their hat down, and the body language in which you give your son or daughter is super high and super stressful. Also, the tone and the voice that you give them when they're in the car or at a game is also really stressful. And you also see at times you see parents giving rewards or privileges based on their performance and valuing their performance. Oh, if Johnny gets a home run, I'm gonna give him an ice cream cone, or oh, if you get 3 hits, I'll buy you the bat that you want. And in that situation, everything that athletes doing now is they feel their value is based on what they do on the field. And the third one is that feeling of pessimism and perfectionism. You don't want your son or daughter while they're in the game thinking that they have to be perfect for mom or dad. I need to make sure that I get hits. Oh, I have to make sure that I throw perfectly, or else this car ride is going to be brutal. I have to be perfect because all of a sudden you're taking all the things that you have no control over out of it. So we say, instead of talking about that stuff in the car ride, instead, I loved watching you play. Why? Because you love watching them play. It's not about how they do or their performance that they're doing. That's not why you love them. You love watching them play the game. That way, your son or daughter can play the game the way that they want to and have them control the controllables, meaning, were you a good teammate? Did you hustle on and off the field? You had a great attitude today. Those are things that you can enjoy watching them play and giving them something that they can control what happens. So the Baxter family, we have something that I do with my 3 boys, and I hope this helps you. It's called the hat. And we have a short video that we're going to show how we handle the car ride home so that it's not a dreadful experience. Enjoy it.
Before the game, on the field, and then after the game, What we do is we kind of have a rule, and it's called the hat rule. When I get into the car before a game, I put my hat on, and that pretty much means I'm the coach. I'm thinking about the practice, or I'm thinking about the game, what's going on, that sort of thing. If my son has his hat on, I can talk about the game. It's like he's giving me permission to talk about baseball. So if his hat is off, then I pretty much just think what I want to think and do whatever. Once you step foot on the field, it's showtime. Our hats both go on. I'm the coach. He's the player. It's now that player coach relationship. Once the game is over, and I think this is where people really struggle. Some of the dads that don't coach and they know a lot about the game, as soon as the game's over, they can't wait for their kid to get into the car and just talk about the game over and over, how their at-bats were, how their defense was, any mistakes that they made. But what we do is we have the hat rule in the car. As soon as the game's over, no matter what, I take my hat, I throw it on the dashboard. That means I'm just dad. I don't talk about anything. My son, on the other hand, is either going to put his hat on or take his hat off. If he leaves his hat on, he can talk if he wants about the game, but I'm still just a parent. I'm not going to ridicule the game. I'm not going to talk about anything that he did bad. I'm just going to listen. If his hat is off, then the game never even gets talked about. So the permission is on, the responsibilities on the player or the son to let us know he wants to talk about it or he doesn't want to talk about it. Because sometimes the car ride home in some of the kids' cars is really bad. The moms and dads are ripping into the kids. Why'd you do this? How come you walk this guy? How come you struck out? And it's brutal. So by following the hat rule, it makes it a lot easier for the parent-son relationship. Hope that helps, guys.
So that's something that we do that makes the car ride much more much more exciting. You know, Coach Steve's got a bunch of examples of car ride home and stuff like that.
Yeah, just recently, just this week, I have 3 specific examples of kids talking to me about their relationship with their parents and the stress levels that it puts on them. The first story is we're playing last weekend, and our pitcher on the mound is having a hard time getting the ball to home plate quick enough. So he's got a big leg lift. He's taking too long, and he's not giving our catcher a chance to throw the runner out at second. So in between innings, I asked him, I said, we should incorporate a little bit of a slide step here. Try to do a modified slide step, something to get the ball to home plate quicker. And his response to me was, easy for you to say, but my dad's going to kill me if I do that. Right, so that's story number 1. Easy for you to say, but my dad's going to kill me. So I'm trying to coach him. I'm trying to help him, teach him how to get the ball home plate quicker. And he's stressed out about what his dad's going to say to him after the game. Example number 2, I have a really good high school softball player. She's in here working on her midweek lesson, and I can tell 90% of her issues are right here in her head. She's thinking too much. She's putting too much pressure on herself. So while she's getting a pick of the balls, I just go over to her dad, and I say, hey, man, listen, I don't think it's a mechanical fix. I think it's more just mindset, confidence, her approach, being on time, being aggressive, and really just believing in herself. I said, so this week, let's put no pressure on her. Have her get into the box, pump her up with some confidence, let her go out there and have fun. And he was all bought in. He agreed with me. He gave me a pound, and he was excited about it. So after the lesson, the dad wasn't around, and I said to the girl, I said, hey, I talked to your dad. He's pumped. He said you had a great lesson, and he's really just going to let you play kind of free and have fun this weekend. And she said, well, how come my dad's always positive with you, but he's not positive with me? Again, basically saying, man, like, he's giving you positive feedback. He's making you feel like you're doing a job, but everything I do always seems to be wrong. Right, so that's example number 2 of a kid feeling super pressured. And then, the last one, it's very similar to the second one, but I had another girl in here. We're talking about process-driven results instead of, result-driven. So basically, she gets into the batter's box. I don't care if she goes over 3. She has 3 quality at-bats. She's on time. She's aggressive. She hits it hard. I don't care what your batting average says. And she looked at me and she said, my uncle's not going to want to hear that. And those are just 3 examples of kids that, I'm trying my best to get them motivated, to get them to just, play free and have fun, especially in hitting, right? For those last 2 examples where you're going to fail way more than you succeed. They're worried about their dad or their uncle and how they're going to respond to it. So, I think that car ride home is crucial.
Being able to let your players play free, stress-free, with not worried about what you're going to say or what kind of criticism you're going to give them. I think I loved watching you play is awesome. You know, I was in college. I played down at Temple University, and my grandparents came to every game. My grandparents missed 3 games in my entire college career. And I remember it didn't matter. I could have went 0 for 3 with 3 Ks, and my grandma would give me a hug after the game and say, "You played great today." No, I didn't. I did not play great. There was nothing great about my performance, but it would always make me laugh because she didn't care. She would give me a hug. She'd say, "You played great today." And, you know, my grandpa would give me the eye roll, like, yeah, you know, she's obviously just trying to make you feel good. But it helped. You know, I smiled for a split second. You know, I wasn't worried about getting into the car, you know, going up to meet my family after the game as if I disappointed them. They were just excited to see me play the game. So I think, you know, parents, if you can take anything from this, you know, your players are playing with enough pressure as it is. They're worried about the stresses of where they're batting in the lineup, what the coach thinks of them, what their teammates think of them. So we have to find a way to not let our expectations or pressures affect their performance at all. And I think in a lot of cases it does. So, you know, I hope you guys took something from that, but I think it's a really important topic and something that we can all be better at, you know, moving forward. I know topic number two is another really good one. It's a question we get a lot, and it's when should players start focusing on playing one position? And it's a tough question because I think there's a lot of different variables that go into it. I think number one, how old is the player? You know, are they playing little league? Are they playing middle school? Are they playing high school? And then question number 2, you have to ask yourself, are they a pitcher only, or are they a position player? And the reason why I think that's important is at the younger ages, there's so much value to being able to play multiple positions, right? It's the same thing when we talk about players playing multiple sports at a young age. All the positives that come out of playing multiple sports. You're more athletic, right? Your toughness, your competitiveness, your overall strength, your ability to be coached by multiple coaches, being a good teammate. I think there's so many good things that come from playing multiple sports. And it's the same thing playing multiple positions. When you're out on the field and you're honed into just playing first base your entire life, well, you don't know what to do when you're playing left field, or you don't know what the job responsibilities are of everyone across the field. So I think it increases your baseball and softball IQ. You start to understand the game from you know, different positions and different areas on the field, which I think is crucial for anybody. And then, you know, as you get older, you're going to add more value to the team that you're on. You might be a stud catcher going into high school, but if there's a kid that's first team all conference, first team all state, and he's a year older than you, well, it's either can you play first base, can you play third base, can you play the outfield, or are you just going to sit for 3 years? So again, there's a lot of variables, there's a lot of questions that go into it, but I think at the younger ages, we have to do our best to get kids aware and able to play multiple positions on the field. It doesn't mean you have to split playing time up evenly. It doesn't mean everybody has to play every position, but just allowing them to understand the game from different views and different areas of the field, I think is crucial. Now, the flip side to that is if you're a high school pitcher and you're throwing 88 miles an hour and you have an opportunity to go pitch in college, well, then I would suggest spending a majority of your time on pitching, right? That doesn't mean, okay, well, I'm a junior, I want to learn how to play shortstop. Well, that's not making valuable use of your time. So again, there's a lot of variables, there's a lot of questions, but you know, I think especially at the younger ages, we have to do a really good job at giving them experience all over the field, just like we would playing multiple sports, giving them a better understanding of the game as a whole. I don't know if you got anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's interesting. A lot of times you go to college and you see and you ask your buddies like, hey, what position did you play in high school? And you're like, oh, I was a shortstop. And you ask the second baseman where he played and he was a shortstop. And you ask the third baseman and he was also a shortstop. And it's like you have a whole team full of shortstops that this shortstop's now playing third and this shortstop's now playing second. And you know, and you have the outfielders doing the same thing, or maybe your catcher was a shortstop, but he also catches and he, you know, and you're you know, it's interesting that, you know, you want to be as an athlete to be able to say to that coach, hey, I'm a shortstop, but I played the outfield and I also can play some first base. I think that's it makes you much more valuable as a player. So I think what Coach Steve said, he hit the nail on the head when, you know, we're talking about that, because a lot of times, especially in Little League, you put kids in positions and that's it. So nobody ever catches except for, I mean, how many kids actually say they want to catch when they're in Little League? Not many, maybe one kid. So what we do in practice, we actually have a catching and a pitching day. We get the gear and we put all the kids in the gear.
especially when they're 7 or 8. They don't know if they want to catch. They might think it's the coolest position in the world. And next thing you know, you have 4 or 5 guys that want to catch. And then as the years go on, maybe, there's less and less. But if a coach just says, okay, Mikey, you're our catcher, and none of the kids ever even try catching, the next year, no one's going to raise their hand and say, I catch, because none of them have caught. So for you little league coaches out there, have a day where you spend 30 minutes, the first couple of days of practice, and have everybody see who wants to catch. So I think that's a position that we put people in certain spots. Oh, you look like a catcher, and no one else even tries it. And, once you get to high school, there's like no catchers. So I think that's, Steve, can you talk a little bit about Mikey and almost like, the importance of a multi-sport athlete? 'Cause I think that kind of goes into almost like hand in hand with, should my son play more positions? It's also, should my son play multiple sports?
Yeah, well, a great example of that. My younger brother, Mikey, was a first-round draft pick by the Rockies back in 2015. And during the whole draft process, the teams were coming to meet the family and talk to us and kind of understand, where he comes from and what he's about. He was advised to send out his high school football highlight tape to all 30 major league teams, which you would think, why the heck am I sending my quarterback tape to major league organizations? But in reality, they just want to see his athleticism, how he handles different sports and different situations. And obviously football players, they're tougher, they're stronger. They wanted to see him as a well-rounded athlete as opposed to just a right-handed pitcher that could throw really hard. So I think that's key. I think other good points are, you have young kids at 7, 8 years old, the outfield's boring because there's no action out there. So you say, oh, you're playing right field, and you don't get a ball hit to you the whole game because everything's just ground balls in the infield. So it's almost like you take your bad players and stick them in the outfield at 7 and 8 years old. And now you look, some of the best players in the world are right fielders, strongest arms on the field, super fast, athletic, big power hitters. So I think teaching those kids to play multiple positions, knowing that it's not a punishment to play the outfield. Or, another great example, I had a parent on my team say, well, my kid's a shortstop. And I had given him some time at third, given him some time at second. I said, well, I was a shortstop too. And when I got to college, I played first base my freshman year. And then I ended up playing third base and got drafted as a third baseman. So again, as you get older and the talent gets better, you better learn how to play multiple positions. So it's just good to give them a little piece of that at a younger age. And again, it's gonna increase their baseball IQ, baseball and softball IQ, and they're gonna understand the game from all different areas. So I think there's a lot of variables and a lot of questions you have to ask yourself, but it's a very good thing to be able to not only play multi-sport, but multi-position at the younger ages. I think our last topic for the day, and I go through it a lot because I'm coaching a 13U team right now. We go to fields all over the place. What do you do as a coach when you get to the field and there's no batting cages, right? I see some teams, they get there and they sit in the bleachers and wait for the game to start. But I'm a big believer in making sure we get our work in before the game. So you have to find ways to let your kids hit, get their swings in, get their timing down, see different balls, get them flying, get them move around. So by first pitch, they're ready to play. All right. You don't want to sit there for 45 minutes. Our team gets there an hour early. We stretch, we go through BP because we don't want them sitting there and just waiting. And then all of a sudden the umpire says, all right, we're starting in 10 minutes. Let's get ready to roll. Right. And that happens, I think, for a lot of you coaches out there. You see that in youth baseball and youth softball. It's just games back to back. They're trying to get them in. So we put together a short video for you guys on how to go about taking batting practice before the games when you don't have a cage, or maybe you just have one cage in limited area. So we're going to play that for you right now.
Hey guys, Coach Steve here. For our third topic today, we're talking about getting to a field without a batting cage. So a lot of times we get to pregame batting practice or we get to a tournament, there's no cages or there's limited space available. So what can we do as coaches to get creative, let our kids get their swings in before the game, in a space where we might not be able to just hit BP in the cage. So I have several stations here for you guys with all different variations of drills. The first one here is going to be our heavy ball drill. Then we're going to work to wiffle balls. Then we're going to work to what we call the catch it deep drill. Then we're going to work to a frisbee drill, smush ball station, and then a mini plastic golf ball wiffle ball station. So we're going to take you through each one here. Coach Duke's going to be my coach. We're going to start off here with the heavy balls. Again, this can be done either into a bow net or just into an open space. So Coach Duke's going to present the ball to me. I'm going to get loaded back, and I'm just going to work on hitting line drives right in the middle of the field. And those are good too because you can do it in a small space and they're not going to go flying all over the place. So that's our heavy balls. Next up, we have our wiffle balls.
two different variations for this. So first one, we're going to start off, Coach Duke is going to side toss to me, and it's the same thing. You can just hit balls right into the outfield, and the kids love it too because they can be out there shagging, flying all over the place, just catching them and having fun. So we'll do 3 of these. And then the other variation of this is you can actually have a coach throw batting practice. So Coach Duke's going to get on a knee, I don't know, about 15, 20 feet away. He's going to throw me batting practice. They're a little bit harder to hit than you'd think. And we're just trying to, whoo, got him. Hit line drives right back up the middle and really just get our swing ready for the game. Station 3, the catch it deep drill. This is another good one. Coach Duke's gonna toss to me. I'm gonna get to my stance, and all I'm gonna do is work on loading and really seeing that thing all the way in. I'm reading the spin of it, and I'm trying to catch that ball nice and deep and watch it all the way into contact. And then we can go back and forth with it. All right, so that's another one. The next one is we call our Frisbee drill. We use a hitting disc. You can use hitting disc, you can use a Frisbee, you can use a bucket lid. You can get creative with this. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna stand up, we're both gonna be batters. We're gonna put our left hand on top, I'm a righty, right hand on the bottom. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get loaded, and I'm gonna play Frisbee with Coach Duke here. This is a great drill to work on extension, getting through the ball. And again, going back and forth, about 8 to 10 each. Another great hitting station for you. Next up is our smush balls. You guys have probably seen these before. We use these a lot. We use them for our little guys learning how to catch for the first time. We use them for working on fly balls, and we also use them, I used them this past weekend with our 13U team. We had no cage at the field, so we had 2 bags of smush balls and we just took BP. Everybody got about 30 swings before the game. It's also a great way just to get your work in without worrying about the ball flying all over the place or kids getting hurt. And our last station here is our mini wiffle ball station. Couple variations here. All right, the first one we're gonna do, it's a great way to work on hand-eye coordination. We're just gonna do side toss with mini wiffle ball. So really seeing it deep, watching it all the way in, just working on some hand-eye, and it's a little bit more challenging because they're smaller. That's the first one. And then the second one we call the multicolored ball drill. So we have all different colors here. Some red ones, some blue ones. So this is gonna be pitch recognition. Coach Duke is either gonna toss me a blue one or a red one. If he tosses me blue, I'm gonna swing. If he tosses me red, I'm gonna take it. Because how often do our younger kids just get up there and swing at everything? So this is just a good way to get their mind working before the game. So blue means swing, red means take. Red, I'm gonna take it. Blue, I'm gonna swing. Taking it. Blue means I'm swinging. So again, guys, just get creative with it, all right? Use the space that you have. Sometimes we just have a little spot, but the heavy balls, the wiffle balls, catch it deep, Frisbee drill, smush balls and wiffle balls are just great ways to get your kids working before the game. The last thing we want to do is go there, no cage, well now we're sitting around for 45 minutes waiting to play. Do what you can to get creative, use the space that you have. If you have a bow net, great. If not, these can all be done just in an open space. We talk a lot about creating stations. Create as many stations as you can before the game. It keeps the kids locked in, keeps them in a controlled, safe environment, and they're really able to prepare for the game as opposed to just everybody sitting around waiting.
All right, so we hope you guys like that clip there. We put together six of our favorite drills to do before the game. I think it's important as coaches, we get creative. We find ways to get our work in even when there is no space. All right, you might have to use a soccer field. We used a football field this weekend. Just finding an open area of grass to get your swings in, get your BP in. And I think that goes for even when you're in a batting cage. When you're in the batting cage, the last thing you want to do is have one kid hitting while there's 11 or 12 kids just standing there watching. So be prepared, have those props, create as many stages as you can, keep them moving, just like I mentioned in the video, keep them moving, get their swings in, get their work in, and you'll see a lot more work done prior to the game as opposed to just a lot of standing around and watching.
So I think, this show was to show how to keep the game fun. It was to show how to enjoy watching your son or daughter play the game, enjoy the car ride home. Okay, don't make it a dreadful car ride. Make it a fun car ride. Say you love watching them play. We showed that
players should play multiple positions. Have them take on the challenge of playing a different positioning and learning a different position, and then also fun drills that you can do in the cages. So every week's going to be like this, how to keep it fun. Thank you for joining us today, and we're going to continue to help you dominate the title of coach, great development programs and skills. We're going to have motivational talks. So we're going to do everything from A to Z to help you coaches, players, and parents enjoy dominating the diamond. So until next time, Duke and Coach Steve are out, and make sure you dominate the diamond today.